Having a nice steak dinner can be a luxury, but it doesn't have to be an unhealthy one if you know what to order. And you might just get a few much-needed vitamins as a bonus. When it comes to lean beef, there's simply no better option than filet mignon or beef tenderloin.
The filet mignon is the most popular cut of steak. It is also called the tenderloin and is known for just that, its tenderness.
This cut is one of the leanest on the cow, and its tenderness makes it a steakhouse menu staple. Its lack of fat also means that tenderloin is richer in a different macronutrient. As Brad Johnson, CEO of Verde Farms, explains, your lean cuts of steak will naturally contain more protein than others. For instance, 6 ounces of filet will provide more grams of protein than 6 ounces of ribeye. Killian Guzzo, executive chef of Lafayette Steakhouse in Miami, echoes this recommendation, noting that tenderloin contains essential nutrients while having less fat than other cuts of steak. Top sirloin is yet another lean cut recommended by our experts. Matthew Creeder, executive chef at Steak 954, says, for the least saturated fat and highest levels of protein, a sirloin or a round roast are the most balanced and nutrient-rich. This cut, hailing from the mid-back of the cow, is relatively lean. According to Brad Johnson, while this particular steak is, quote, not quite as tender as a filet, sirloin provides great flavor while still being lower in fat. Top sirloin specifically offers great balance in terms of texture. Firmer than some steaks, it's by no means tough, and dry aging it can bring out even more of its natural tenderness. Guzzo echoes this recommendation for health-conscious steakhouse goers, as does Chef Eros of Ile, a contemporary West African concept in Hollywood, California, who notes that, quote, this cut is relatively lean and provides a good amount of protein, B vitamins, and minerals like zinc and iron. The sirloin flap, also known as a bavette, is a steak hailing from the lower belly of the cow.
And then the flat meat or bavette or skirt or whatever you want to call it is coming from the abdomen. I was a great demo cow.
While it's heavily marbled, the marbling is fine enough that it actually boasts just 7.96 grams of fat per 3.5-ounce portion. Bavette gets a bit less airtime than some other steakhouse steaks, but it's long been a favorite among butchers who love it for its rich, deep flavor. And since it's lesser known, it tends to be less expensive than many comparable steaks. For Creeder, it's a bit of an unsung hero for those seeking a more health-conscious menu item at a steakhouse. As he explained, I think a filet is what most people would gravitate towards when looking for a lean steak. Creeder adds that while there are many cuts that are lean with a lot of flavor, bavette in particular is one that he regularly uses. He compares it to the better-known flank steak, both in terms of taste and texture, and for its ability to work well with a marinade. Top round steak is one of Guzzo's top recommendations as a health-conscious, leaner cut, and that's no surprise. Top round is one of several cuts hailing from the round primal, which can be found between the sirloin and the shank. This primal encompasses the rump and hind leg muscles of the cow, for steaks that are lean and inexpensive. The counterpoint is that these cuts can also be tougher, meaning that long, slow roasts or marinades bring out the best in their texture. Top round specifically is relatively tender as compared to other parts of this primal. It's most frequently cooked as a London broil, which sees it marinated for a long period of time before being cooked hot and fast, usually under the broiler, thus the recipe's name. Top round is also an excellent cut for making roast beef. Eye of round is another lean option from the round primal that Guzzo recommends for its low fat content. Indeed, it may well be the leanest cut of steak out there, with Creeder explaining, for the least saturated fat and highest levels of protein, a sirloin or a round roast are the most balanced and nutrient-rich. Some compare eye of round to tenderloin, though lovers of the more expensive cut would surely be disappointed to find that eye of round lacks that cut's signature tenderness. This steak hails from the bottom round subprimal, which is even tougher than top round. Its low-fat content means it can prove less forgiving than fattier steaks, especially when overcooked. It's for this reason you won't often find it on a steakhouse menu, seeing as low and slow methods like roasting or braising do it far more favors. New York strip is one of the most popular steakhouse cuts for a reason. Bold and beefy, this cut hails from the short loin, a fairly tender muscle that stretches from the cow's hip to its ribs. These steaks are very well marbled, making them rich in flavor and fairly tender. As a result, they're also higher in fat than many other options on this list. But the New York strip deserves its spot as one of a steakhouse's healthiest offerings. And not just because, as the Mayo Clinic notes, it's still considered one of the leanest cuts of beef out there. A New York strip is delicious enough to enjoy without too many calorie-laden bells and whistles like loads of extra cooking fats, compound butters, and sauces. Overall, it's an excellent option for those looking for loads of flavor without all the added fat. Flat iron steak is a relatively new offering in the butcher's case, long relegated to ground beef due to its sinuous nature. But thanks to innovative techniques developed by researchers at the University of Nebraska and the University of Florida, this steak is now a delicious and healthful offering on many steakhouse menus. Hailing from the chuck primal in the front shoulder of the cow, flat iron steak is inexpensive and relatively lean, despite boasting just enough marbling to give it lovely flavor and moisture. It's a bit lower in fat than the New York strip, and seeing as it's packed with flavor, you don't need to add much to make it sing. Most agree that a quick trip over the charcoal grill is the perfect treatment to bring out all of the flavor in this succulent steak. Flank steak is another leaner cut that Chef Eros recommends as both flavorful and more affordable than many other options in a steakhouse menu, and it's also healthier than most. That said, as compared to some cuts, flank steak, which hails from the hard-working flank of the cow, can be a bit tougher. This is why he recommends marinating this steak before cooking it.
Super lean, super delicious, and lots of meatiness that we all love.
Chef Eros notes that flank steak also boasts a high mineral content with, quote, a good balance of protein, iron, and zinc. This type of steak is indeed rich in minerals. It also contains magnesium and potassium as well. Skirt steak is often confused for flank steak, seeing as both cuts are lean, long, and relatively tough. But the skirt steak hails not from the flank, but rather the diaphragm area of the cow, giving it a less dense but more fibrous structure. As a result, it's even better for marinating than flank steak, absorbing loads of flavors relatively quickly. And since it has an intensely beefy flavor, it can take quite a bit of heat. It's particularly tasty with marinades featuring powerful superfoods like ginger or garlic. As an added bonus, skirt steak is also slightly leaner than flank steak, with just 7.02 grams of fat per 3.5-ounce portion. And it also contains 2.37 grams of iron. Lower fat content was a major factor in helping our experts choose their favorite healthy steaks on steakhouse menus. But these recommendations come with one major caveat. As Chef Guzzo explains, leaner cuts are often basted with butter or topped with sauces to enhance their flavor and tenderness, as they have less marbling compared to fattier cuts. But for Chef Eros, the fix is simple, saying, when at a steakhouse, I recommend to look closely at the ingredients used in the description or ask for sauce on the side if you're worried about health concerns. Steaks can easily be cooked under the broiler or over a live fire without too much added fat. And as long as you let your server know your preference, there's no reason why that added dollop of butter or sauce can't be kept off your steak. As Brad Johnson adds, remember, this is your steak. If you're choosing a leaner cut to save on calories or reduce fat in your diet, never hesitate to ask how it's prepared and request a modified version. Everyone deserves to have a steak they can feel good eating.
How are you enjoying your steak, Commander?
I'm really enjoying it.
While it might seem counterintuitive because of its high fat content, Wagyu beef is actually a great choice from a health standpoint. According to Matthew Creeder, he compares the health benefits of Wagyu beef to salmon, saying, it will have a better flavor profile and higher fat content. However, the fats are monounsaturated. Indeed, 2016 research in the Korean Journal of Food Science of Animal Resources showed that highly marbled Wagyu and Hanwoo beef, the latter of which is a similar Korean style of highly marbled beef, boasts a higher composition of monounsaturated fatty acid. This can lower LDL cholesterol levels and raise HDL cholesterol levels. And the study points out that high oleic acid in Wagyu and Hanwoo beef might actually help to combat cardiovascular disease. And that's not the only reason Wagyu beef is a great option from a health standpoint. According to Michael Vignola, chef and director of culinary at Catch Hospitality Group, Wagyu is intensely rich in marbling. However, you only need a little to satiate that craving. Most often, portions of Wagyu at steakhouses are far smaller than those served compared to other steaks, allowing you to savor each morsel without a risk of overeating. No matter which cut you choose, grass-fed beef is always going to be the best option on any steakhouse menu from a health perspective. According to Guzzo, grass-fed beef is, quote, generally leaner and contains more omega-3 fatty acids and antioxidants. Brad Johnson echoes this point, saying, when it comes to the different types of steaks, USDA organic, 100% grass-fed steaks are the healthiest and most beneficial to our bodies. Johnson also notes that this is the case not just for our own health, but indeed for that of the planet. Going on to say, when you purchase steaks where cattle are raised humanely and farmed on regenerative land, it provides the most benefit to us, the animals, and our planet. 100% grass-fed diet creates a steak that is leaner, lower in calories, contains more omega-3s, plus higher levels of essential vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants.
3 times the omega-3s in grass-fed.
As if helping both our bodies and the planet wasn't enough, Johnson also points out that eating USDA organic beef means that consumers aren't eating fertilizers or pesticides that may have been used to treat the grass that was eaten by the cattle. If you're willing to think outside the box on your next steakhouse visit, consider opting not to eat beef steak at all. According to Michael Vignola, bison and buffalo are both healthier than beef, and bison is richer in certain micronutrients than beef. Bison tastes fairly similar to beef, albeit with a little bit of a sweeter flavor and less distinct meatiness. Its iron levels can give it a nice, simple flavor, and it usually tastes less greasy or fatty than beef. Among the higher levels of micronutrients in bison are selenium and iron. Bison is also about 25% lower in calories than beef, due to its lower fat content. But these discrepancies aren't necessarily innate to bison. In reality, most experts claim it stems from the way in which beef and bison are farmed. There is a far higher likelihood that bison will be grass-fed rather than grain-fed, contributing to these and other health benefits, such as its richness in anti-inflammatory conjugated linoleic acid. For these reasons, bison meat might be a more heart-healthy option than beef.